Good morning, everyone. I just want to start off. My name's Tiffany. I am here with our admissions office. Thank you for joining us for our session on the College of Arts and Sciences. We have the Dean of Arts and Science of College of Arts and Sciences with us, as well as a couple of faculty members, and I will hand it off to them. If you have any questions, please submit them through the chat feature, and we will answer them as we go.
Great. Thank you, Tiffany. Welcome, everybody. I appreciate your taking the time on what may be the first warm day in a while to be inside with our virtual open house. My name is Tom Chambers. I'm the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and I want to welcome you to Canisius virtually on behalf of the creative teachers and wonderful scholars in our faculty. Canisius is an outstanding institution focused on academic excellence, rigor, innovation, care for the student. It's grounded in the liberal arts, core skills like critical thinking, analysis, oral and written communication, and the ability to see different perspectives that'll help you succeed, not just in your chosen career, but more importantly in life. Our Jesuit tradition means you'll wrestle with big questions about truth, beauty, justice, faith, even why things go bump in the night. And we'll train you for all those big questions as they come up. We have over 30 majors, over 30 minors, 3 pre-professional programs that allow you to discover your passion while simultaneously preparing for life after college. And that's, I think, part of what makes Canisius unique and special. Not only do you get a rigorous education in the Jesuit liberal arts tradition, we also prepare you for a career. So parents, friends who are supporting these students, that's important to know, right? At the end of 4 years, these folks will have a path forward. Our small classes mean you'll get to know your professors on a personal level, and they'll challenge and support you as you go beyond where you thought you could. We'll push your limits. We'll make you better. We'll make you stronger, and we'll make you a richer and better person. Writing a thesis, participating in a laboratory, interning in a law office or a nonprofit like the Buffalo Zoo will give you the advantage over your peers at other institutions. And you'll develop the skills of ethical leadership, creative problem solving, and teamwork that employers want today. At Canisius, you'll earn more than a piece of paper. You'll become a person dedicated to excellence and compassion in your work and your life. And one of the strengths that I think makes Canisius special and really superior is the dedication of our faculty and our dedication to close interpersonal relations with our students. The kind of what we call high-touch, high-impact education. We all know that for the last few months, none of us have been having the kind of education we probably would desire. I think that I can see from my own high school students, I can see from the faculty and the students in Canisius that we miss each other. We miss being in the classroom. We miss that kind of interaction that only happens in face-to-face learning. And so one of the things I want to emphasize today is the way that at Canisius College, we actually have worked very, very hard to make that transition as seamless as possible. I think our transition to online learning, which happened really almost overnight, worked really rather well. And today what I'd like to do is show you a couple of examples of how we have done that, with the idea that I think at Canisius College, online learning doesn't stink. That might be kind of an easy way to put it, but we've worked really hard, and the faculty are incredibly talented to make sure that the education that we've given in the last few months has the same kind of care for the student, of academic rigor, of interaction with professors that makes Canisius special. So what I'd like to do is take a couple examples that I think make some sense. I have some faculty here, Dr. Jonathan Rogers in psychology, Dr. Marshall Woodward in English. We'll talk in just a few minutes about what they've done and what their classes are like. But let me start out with a video from our biology department. And I know there are a lot of folks interested in biology, a lot of animal behavior people, a lot of chemistry people, biochemistry people in this virtual room right here. So this might be relevant to you. What I'm going to show you is a clip from Matt Lardo, who is our lab technician. And he teaches most of the labs. And he's going to show you and explain to you how he was able to navigate this world of online learning. So make sure your volume is turned up. I think it'll work. And let's see what Matt has to say here.
Hi, my name is Matt Lardo. the background material, we go through procedures, and then any of the results that we normally do. Similar, also what I would do is I would provide live office hours. Basically a couple hours each day I'd be at my computer. I'm normally at my computer all the time anyway, but I would make myself available to the students for a couple hours a day where they could contact me either via Zoom, Google Hangouts, things of that nature, and we can get some one-on-one communication to make sure that the content is being understood appropriately. When it came time to do actual activities, things like dissections, looking at models, looking at microscopes, what I wanted to do was still give you that experience of being able to actually do the dissections. So what I would prepare is a presentation that would describe what I was going to do, and then I would actually do a dissection for them. And the way that I approached that was I have a second camera set up on my computer that I can easily switch to, and then what I can do is I can do the dissection right here, and I can talk about it as that way they're getting that information in a multitude of ways. They're going to be hearing me talk about it, and they're also going to be seeing me do it in real time. So that's a nice little way of making sure that these dissections stay as engaging as possible. When it came time for the microscope demonstrations, it was also very similar. What I've done is I've attached a camera scope to my computer. So what I can do is I can very easily switch over to the microscope, and then they can look at the slide, and I can talk to them about the slide while we're looking at it right on the screen. Once again, it's keeping the content as engaging and effective at communicating information. Finally, we obviously needed a form of assessment. With that, we switched to obviously a fully digital format. We have online quizzes where diagrams, images, microscope slides that we looked at in the videos would be used to create questions to make sure that they're retaining that knowledge. When they were submitting their lab reports, what we would do is there's a program called D2L that the school uses, and you're able to have a Dropbox where you can submit assignments. And so the students would submit the assignments based upon a previously established rubric, and the TAs and myself would be able to go onto these, grade them digitally, put feedback onto them, and then the student would be able to see that feedback. This way, we're able to keep that communication, make sure that everybody's on the same page, and make sure that when you're doing your assignments, you're doing them to the highest quality that you can achieve. In terms of what we plan to do for the future, I'd like to take some of these videos that I did and offer a live Zoom version of it, where I'm doing either a dissection or a microscope demonstration or even some virtual lab activities where the students are able to communicate with me while I do it. That way there can be a little bit more engagement, and there's the opportunity for them to address common misconceptions, things of that nature. Really just giving them the opportunity to engage with myself and other students as much as possible. I'd like to look into doing some take-home labs where there'd be a video describing the process to you, and then you'd have like a little packet that you'd take home and be able to do that activity on your own. Finally, I'm looking into making a homepage that could have a database of all the information from all the different labs, and basically just like a one-stop shop for laboratory information. That's really all I got for you today. Hopefully your college hunt is going well, and I hope to see you in the fall. Thanks.
So we should say thanks back to Matt. He, I think, did a really interesting job with that. And I should emphasize as well that what we're trying to do is make sure that we are having class in person this fall. We're doing everything in our power to do that. We have all sorts of diagrams of how we can set up classes, how many bodies can be in the class, making sure we have all sorts of extra hand sanitizer, things like that. So we're hoping to have class in person in the fall in a safe way. We don't want to endanger any of our students or faculty or staff, but we're working really hard to make sure that happens. And if it doesn't, you can see the kinds of things I think that are pretty innovative that we're trying to do to make sure that can happen with online classes that, as I said, don't stink. To give you an example of how we can continue to do some online work, but also keep the quality of in-person classes going, Dr. Jonathan Rogers from the Psychology Department and the Autism Institute for Autism Research is going to talk a little bit about how he's able to continue some of his research and research with students during this sort of odd moment in our world. So Jonathan?
Thank you very much. As Dr. Chambers said, I am Jonathan Rogers. I am a part of the Psychology Department of the Institute for Autism Research. Sorry, that's how I get momentum going. So what we do at the IAR is we work with kids with autism. So kids who struggle with emotional communication, who struggle with social interaction, who struggle making friends. And what we do is we actually validate intervention programs. Okay, so we develop a technique to help these kids, to help them develop social skills, to help them develop positive behaviors. We develop those techniques and then we validate those interventions. So validating means we study them rigorously to make sure they work. Now, some of you are saying, I don't know if I'm really, we welcome anyone throughout the college. We've had math majors, we've had bio majors, we've had pre-meds, all who worked with us. Now, most of those programs are things like a summer program or an after-school program. However, because of the unique circumstances we find ourselves under right now, we're actually adapting this summer one of our interventions to be a home-based intervention. So parents themselves are learning how to do the intervention techniques. Now, you guys, or the students like you that are my students now, they're helping me do that. They're helping me model and demonstrate the kinds of techniques that we use in intervention to those parents. They're helping me collect the data. They're helping me monitor the families to make sure things are going well. So we continue to engage students even though we have to be distant right now. Then, when we get back to campus, when we have time that way, we incorporate more than 20 to 30 students per semester into the kinds of programs that we do. These students help us collect rigorous data that helps us publish in high-level journals. Now, some of you are thinking, oh, well, I'm not sure. These kinds of opportunities, and we're not the only ones. Our campus has an amazing number of different opportunities like this. These kinds of opportunities help build your knowledge, help build your resume so that when you go to graduate school or go into a career, you have an amazing set of skills already. Now, one more thing. We're not the only game in town. There are other faculty members in our department and in other departments who do a range of different research. Let's say you don't want to work with kids. You'd rather work with older individuals, maybe retirees. Another faculty member and I, Dr. Lodi Smith, have a grant to study aging and autism. And we, during this time, we actually pushed a survey to our participants in our study so that we could study how this COVID situation is impacting older individuals too. And our students, like you, are helping us analyze that data. They're helping us generate manuscripts about that right now. So we can continue to provide these kinds of opportunities even in this environment. Likewise, I just want to plug a couple of our other faculty members. Dr. Goodsell studies eyewitness testimony. Dr. Arbuckle in our department studies social communication and when people are altruistic. Dr. Putnam studies cortisol. Dr. Blakely McClure studies relational aggression. So we have multiple opportunities in our department and across the college for you to get involved in unique building experiences. But it's up to you to take advantage of them. The wonderful thing about Canisius is because we're a small environment, you have all of these opportunities to do things that most students don't get a chance to do until they're advanced graduate students. But you have that chance now, but you have to take advantage of it. So thank you. I hope I didn't talk too fast. Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you in the fall.
Great, thank you, Jonathan. And you can see the kind of enthusiasm and energy that our faculty have. Great, wonderful stuff. And I know there are a number of people interested in psychology in the room, so hopefully that will be of interest to you. One of the things that Dr. Rogers talked about was the opportunity for research that our students have. And every year we have a day of what we call Ignatian Scholarship, where students present their research. These are undergraduate students who do panels, who do posters, who just talk about what they're doing. Classes don't run that day. Everyone goes and sees what's going on. A couple hundred students are doing that. And we didn't do that this year. for obvious reasons. Usually it happens in sort of late March, early April. There were other things going on that meant we couldn't be on campus. So what a number of our students did in some classes was do these presentations as basically Zoom sessions. And I want to show you just a quick clip of one so that you can get a sense of, hey, the show must go on even amid coronavirus. And this is what one just sample of students did. So give me a second to share this screen and then to play this brief video.
Hi guys, our poster is about sustainable and alternative meat and how to go about switching. So what is sustainable meat? Sustainable meat is defined as humane pasture-raised meat that has a lower environmental impact. Why choose sustainable meat over factory farmed? Factory farmed meat is often inhumane. There is beating and mistreatment of animals, a crowded living space where they often can't move, and poor incorrect diets. Environmentally, factory farming increases greenhouse gases, contributes to deforestation, and increases water pollution through runoff. Sustainable meat, on the other hand, has humane treatment, good and proper living conditions, and they are fed a proper diet and have room to roam. Environmentally, sustainable meats produce less, which causes a reduction in greenhouse gases, a decrease in land use, and less water pollution. This means that if we switch to sustainable meat, there would be less consumption of meat and a major diet shift would be required, but there would be more humane treatment of animals and would reduce our environmental impact as a whole.
So, looking at how to switch to sustainable or alternative meat, the first step is to use less. Families can save money and use less.
I think just that gives you a quick sense of what might be possible. I think these students would probably be the first to say they much rather would have done that in person, and it probably would have been a stronger presentation from their perspective in person. But you know, they were able to do that. We were able to have those kinds of opportunities for students still to present their research. They still can list on their resume they presented at Ignatian Scholarship Day, and they got some feedback from their professors. If you couldn't guess, those were students in the Animal Behavior, Ecology, and Conservation program. And I know we have some folks interested in that on the call today. So I think what we're showing is even in an online format, we can continue to do the kind of high quality student research that we emphasize. Now, we've talked a lot about science lately, right? Biology, psychology, animal behavior, but Canisius is a college that offers a wide variety of programs, and we want to emphasize that we do a lot of different things. We have with us today Dr. Marshall Woodward from the English department, who's going to tell us a little bit about the kinds of opportunities for interactive learning that you have in the English department and how they also have adapted to this new world. Dr. Woodward.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dr. Marshall Woodward from the English department, where I teach Shakespeare and a variety of other classes, including the 2 English classes that all freshmen take at Canisius, Introduction to Academic Writing and Writing About Literature. In the English department at Canisius, our instruction is driven, I believe, by 2 central principles of Jesuit education. The first is cura personalis, care for the whole person, the individual person. And the second is eloquentia perfecta, which is, oh, my speaker isn't working. Oh no.
Okay.
Tom?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yep.
Oh, can everyone hear me? Okay, I got a message saying my speaker is not working. Check my connection.
You're good.
Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Little snafu here. Okay, eloquentia perfecta, not a great example of that just then. Eloquentia perfecta, Latin phrase, means speaking and writing well for the greater good. In order to do this, to speak and write well for the benefit of our community, you need to master precision and nuance of language. You need to be able to think also creatively and to see the big picture, the synthetic picture, but also the small, to be able to think alongside the individual whose interests may not be represented. And this is what you're going to get in English, because we read novels and poems that put you into sort of complex situations that ask you to think about ethics and aesthetics and justice. And then we teach you how to analyze and write about all of the big questions that are generated. And what's been kind of cool for us is that these goals of the English department that are central to our classes have translated pretty well actually to the online format. So most of my colleagues, I know we've been hosting a variety of asynchronous discussion where you get to practice on discussion boards or chat boards. You're writing about literature, but also synchronous Zoom sessions where we talk as a big class, but I can also send you to breakout rooms to speak as a small group. And I've maintained individual conferencing with students on their research papers, has actually worked really nicely in the Zoom format, a little bit less nervousness, I think, sometimes than students bringing their paper to my office. One of the really cool things about English at Canisius is that we're attached to a creative writing program. We have award-winning young adult novelists there. My colleague, Professor Janet McNally's one of her most recent books, Girls in the Moon, has been optioned by Selena Gomez's production company. My colleague Eric Gansworth just learned yesterday that he is a finalist for the prestigious Neustadt Prize in Children's Literature. And so our students get training in writing for young adult fiction in the publishing industry, and we bring in major authors every year with our contemporary writer series. Sally Rood was supposed to come this year. She wrote the Normal People that's been turned into the popular Hulu series, but we're going to be bringing these authors in, if not in person next year, they're going to meet us over Zoom. And so we're going to be able to still have that interaction with major figures. And let's see, I should just say we're still learning the possibilities of online instruction. In the fall, I plan to do Shakespeare watch parties with my students if we're not face to face, so that we can sort of, parse the scenes, make fun of the actors, ask questions in real time. And a number of assignments that I've done in the past, such as I teach a class on monsters and monstrosity for the honors freshman program. We've made best bestiaries in the past where each student has their own monster and they research its history, where it's shown up in pop culture over time, and we make a blog. We make our own collection of monsters, which is what a bestiary was in the medieval period. And with screen sharing and so forth, that's actually could be a lot easier to integrate into an online class than in some way it was in face-to-face, where it sort of stayed as the out-of-class activity they were doing until the end of the semester when they did presentations. So those are just a few of the exciting things that we're working on in the English department, some of the ways that we've tackled this transition. And I think that our dedication, right, to this type of creative instruction, creativity in general, along with rigor, it's why English majors in general are in demand from Silicon Valley to Fortune 500 companies. And it's why our Canisius graduates have top jobs in New York City publishing industry. We've had Harvard law students who come from Canisius, very successful in just a wide array of fields. So I also look forward to meeting you and working with you this coming fall, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Marshall, and we're going to make sure to have a little time for questions. If anyone has a specific one right now, though, I don't want to make you just have to listen to us all. You can send some, I guess, to Tiffany. She can pose and we'll open it up. But I do have one more thing that I want to show you. We're in the creative realm again. Digital Media Arts is one of our really interesting programs, and they're already digital. They do this stuff in class. They have a really cool laboratory room with a number of really high quality Apple computers where they do all sorts of digital manipulation and things like that. So I want to show you a quick video. I'll fast forward through parts of it of what the DMA program does and how some of their material works. So let's just look at this for a few minutes, and I'll make sure to scroll through it quickly.
Hi everybody, this is Ben Dunkel. I'm a professor in the Digital Media Arts program here at Canisius College. I'm going to be demonstrating the kind of project that you might do in one of my courses. This is something that we do in my digital illustration course, but we might do something similar in, say, my graphic design course or my digital graphics course. What we're going to do is combine an image and some type. We're going to start off with an image that's a photograph, but make it look a lot more like graphic illustration. And then we're going to take some basic text and add some effects to it to give it more of an edge. I started by searching for someone who I thought might be a good subject for this. Maybe we would be doing a poster for John F. Kennedy, or we might be doing some kind of promotion where his face could be incorporated. And I went on Google search and I searched for images. I chose labeled for reuse under the tools. Wanted to make sure that the image that I'm using isn't protected by some copyright. You can learn a lot more about copyright in the digital media law course that we offer, which is required for all DMA majors. And I found one that looked pretty good. It's got a nice range of darks and lights. And I took a screenshot of it, brought it into Adobe Illustrator. It has lots and lots of powerful tools, and we're going to use a few of them to convert this into something more illustrative. We're starting by pasting the image into Illustrator. We're going to use what's called the image trace function, and we're going to change some of these different settings here. The first we're going to change is the mode, and we're going to choose color. Down in the bottom corner where there's a box that says preview. Once we check preview, the images and the colors and tones are a lot flatter. I'm also going to change my palette so that it uses something that's a little more colorful, something from, say, a saturated palette. Now we're going to paste another copy of the picture. Remember, we have this on our clipboard, so I can hit Command V and paste it. And what I've done is pasted a version of it that's on top of another version. And you can see if I move this version, we'll see the other version, the color one, underneath it. Undo that. I'm going to change the opacity over here in the appearance palette. And I'm going to change the opacity from normal to multiply. And we can immediately see the colors of the original image that's underneath shining through. We're also going to give this one an image trace as well, but this time we're going to choose black and white. So I'm going to hit preview here. And now we want to make sure that our opacity is set to multiply. And now we get something that started off as a very photographic image, but became something much more illustrative. Let's add some type. I'm going to go to my text tool in Illustrator. Illustrator has very, very powerful text manipulation tools. And we're going to just start with typing JFK. I'm going to make this type that I just typed a lot bigger. And I'm also going to make it a different font. So I'm going to highlight the font size up at the top here. And let's try something like really extreme, 120. That looks pretty good. I'll just move it down below the image and maybe even a bit bigger. Let's try 200. I'm kind of looking for text that's the same sort of width as the image. Let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to move things around here. And let's change the font. Something more bold. Okay. And once I kind of have the text in a good place underneath the image, I'm going to start to manipulate the text. This is a lot of fun. And I'm just going to take the type and sort of break it up into pieces and then move the pieces around a little bit. So the first thing we have to do with this is change it to an outline, create outlines. And now we're going to add some crosses with some crisscross lines using the line segment tool. And I'm just going to add a select few of these, sort of randomly placing them. You don't want too many. So I drew 4 lines. Now we can't see the lines, but they are there. I'm going to use my selection tool and drag a rectangle to get my text and all the lines that I drew. And I'm going to use one of the other powerful features in Illustrator, which is the Pathfinder tool. If I go to Window, Pathfinder, I can see all the different things that are available to me. And what the Pathfinder tool does is it changes shapes to interact with each other. So the one we're going to use here is the Divide Pathfinder. Once I choose the Divide Pathfinder, I can start to see a little bit of what I'm going to get. My type is sort of cut into sections here. Now using another one of our selection tools, our group selection tool, I can click on individual pieces, first by clicking on nothing, which is what I usually say when I want nothing selected. And I'm going to zoom in. Let me hide some of my palettes here. And I'm just going to kind of nudge these shapes around a little bit. I also can find using the keyboard What we're getting here is sort of a shattered glass effect on the text. Something you might see in maybe a comic book, a movie title, and so on. And we don't want to get too crazy with this. It's got to be legible. But it does add that little bit of visual punch that we want to show in our poster here. Okay, well, that's about all I have time for. So I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial, and I look forward to having you in my courses where I can show you even more great stuff. Thanks for watching.
That's pretty cool. I have no ability to do that kind of stuff, but Professor Dunkel really is a wizard, and he can do some really interesting things. And when you go and look at that lab, what they do, it's really, really phenomenal. Those are some of the things I wanted to show you for just a little bit. And we've got a few minutes left. Rather than showing you more videos or having more of us talk, I'd really like to know what you all think and what kinds of questions you might have about what's going on at Canisius now, what the next year or so looks like. I know most of the folks seem to be rising seniors or current juniors, so you may be a little bit far away from making your decisions, but we're here to answer your questions and would love to hear what you have to say. Tiffany, I think folks are going to put them into the chat. Is that how it's going to work? Or
Yes.
can they just...
So if you do have a question, we're going to encourage you to put it into the chat for us to answer.
That's for you, Tiffany, I think.
Yes. So when it comes to visiting campus and things like that, just as our faculty mentioned, we in admissions are just as hopeful that we can have you on campus and get you to us. But of course, we're still figuring that out, as well as how to get people on campus safely with social distancing, and as well as, we have to abide by what's going on with the state. So stay tuned for more information on visiting our campus physically.
One of our panelists, Sarah, asked what internships did DMA and IMC majors get? DMA is Digital Media Arts. IMC is Integrated Market Communications. Students in those programs tend to get internships with local marketing firms, local advertising firms, and even some publication houses. We have some good connections, for instance, with Fisher Price, who actually does a lot of digital animation, and so people get some work there. I think this is a program that's really well suited to the Buffalo region, where there actually is a much larger marketing, media relations kind of thing. Some folks have done work with Pagula Sports and Entertainment, so a wide variety for those. Then I see one from Courtney asking, am I able to do a double major in biology and Spanish? Well, of course, yeah. We have a number of students who actually do that. It's a popular double major to do both a science and a language. And I think that's especially important. Say you're considering going to medical school. The ability to have a little bit of facility in Spanish so that you can converse with some of your patients really would be a powerful tool to have. And I'll just keep going through these. If either Marcelle or Jonathan see one that makes sense to them, jump right in. Hands-on experience for ABEC majors. A lot of internships with, for instance, the Buffalo Zoo, with the SPCA, some other organizations that students are working with. And that's similar to the kinds of careers that many of those ABEC students go on to after graduation. A number of them work for park systems at the state and the national level. They work for animal rights organizations. Some of the students have gone on to graduate school as well. And I think that's an important part to think about, is we have a good percentage of our students, I'd say probably at least 25%, that go on to pursue graduate study in their field. I'm talking that differently from going to professional school, medical school, dental school, law school, that kind of thing. So a wide variety for those ABEC majors.
I can talk to one really unique project that a student did that provided them with a rocket to graduate school. ABEC majors and their department tends to be very collaborative with other groups. And I collaborated with one of the professors there. We actually used an eye tracking machine to show where the gorillas in the zoo were looking, whether they looked at faces the same way. And the student who led that project went on to she's getting her doctorate now and plans to be a director of a zoo and do animal research in the future.
Great example. Yeah, somebody asked, again, internships with chemistry. I think chemistry, a lot of the internships are more practical hands-on research with faculty. So the faculty in the chemistry department have their laboratories set up. They have students who continue to work with them on projects and research. Every summer, there's a really fantastic program where it's almost 30 students, 30 chemistry majors spend part of the summer doing research in labs, and they do a big poster session and panel session at the end of the month of July, I believe. So they do a lot of that hands-on work. Some students have gone and done a little bit of internship with Roswell Park, for instance. And we have a number of chemistry students who have won national research awards, an NSF Foundation Fellowship, which is really prestigious. So they do a lot of different things. Music department. Okay, someone else is asking, a passion of mine is guitar. Is there a music department where I could do this as well? Absolutely. We have a robust fine arts department. And even if you're not a major, here's one of the really cool things that Canisius said. I don't think there's another college in the region that even comes close to this. You can take instrumental lessons, guitar, oboe, bassoon, trumpet, you name it, and vocal lessons as a 1 credit hour course as part of your tuition. So think about how valuable that is. Weekly sessions with a professor in the fine arts department to be able to continue to practice. And then there are a number of performance groups as well. That's a real example of sort of a liberal arts education where you can both be a major in your area of study that you're sort of preparing for a career and pursue your passion in music. So what a great value that is. Really something I think it's
to piggyback off of the music, we also offer some scholarships for high school students that are interested in are currently in music or currently have art portfolios and things like that as well.
Yeah, and to do that, correct me if I'm wrong, Tiffany, but you don't have to major in music. You major in something else, belong to one of those performance groups, and you can still do that kind of work. It's really rather amazing, I think.
Correct. You don't have to be a music major to be in and still get the scholarship and things like that. We also had a question come through about what if you're undecided or don't know what you want to major in yet?
Great question. And we just launched something that we're calling the Pathways program for undecided students, where they take a course, credit-bearing course in their fall semester of their first year, where it's called Major Matters, and they learn a little bit about what the options are at Canisius. They work with other students who are also undecided. Sort of, you're part of a group. It's not that there's something that you don't know what your major is, and that's bad. Actually, that's probably good. I think most people change their majors 3 or 4 times during their course in college, and I don't know. I'm sure I didn't know what I wanted to do when I went to college at the tender age of 18, and I changed my mind a couple times. So this group gives you some structure, some analysis. They do some personality and skill assessments that help you figure out what you want to do. The counselors sort of set you up with a number of different courses that'll give you a taste of what the possibilities are. And then we try to get you to select a major, ideally by the fall of your sophomore year. So there's a structure to get you to do that. Really, really good, powerful new program that we're just launching this summer that's going to help those undecided students choose what's best for them. And I think it's a really, really good way to do that.
What about academic advising?
Marcelle or Jonathan, you want to handle that? Because you have more contact with students than I do on a daily basis.
I have about 35 academic advisees. They are psychology majors in general. Some of them work with me through research, some of them don't. But the really unique thing is because of the size, I know every one of those students. I know their path. I know what they're planning on doing. Some of them change it faster than I can keep up, but I know what they're doing. I know where they're going. And a part of my goal as an academic advisor is to help guide them down that path, whether that means going into psychology graduate school or deciding they'd rather. I had one student decide she'd rather be a math major, and that was the transition she made. So that's part of my role as a faculty member, is providing that kind of mentorship.
Yeah, I would definitely second Jonathan's point about this sort of individual relationship that develops there between advisor and advisee. I know I was out sick during advising the last time we were on campus, and you know, I was having phone conversations and emails back and forth with my advisees, and we got it all worked out. And so it's that type of close relationship. Where you know the student, they know you, they feel comfortable dropping into your office, talking over goals and so forth. Freshman advising for the first semester, I believe, is done a little bit differently, right? You're linked up with somebody in our Griff Center where they sort of help get you situated and sort of into your programs. But yeah, advising, I think, is a great strength at Canisius because of our size, because of that close contact between student and professor.
And I should add that I have a group called the Dean Student Advisory Council, where you get a student from each major who I meet with. I meet with this group once a month and ask them what's going on. What do I need to know? And I also bring them questions and problems. Like, you know, when we were thinking about going to online learning because we saw it was going to be an issue, I said, what is important to you? What do you think is going to be the key challenges that you're facing? And, you know, students said some really important things, and we use that feedback. So we really value students, and we listen to what they have to say, and try to help them realize their goals.
Just to jump off that really quickly, I asked my graduating senior research group, the students that I know and will stay connected to for the rest of their lives, I asked them, what is the one thing I could say to you guys that would convince you to come to Canisius? And that was it. It was the connection to faculty, the relationship that builds and the mentorship that builds, and that was the thing that they will always value for the rest of their lives.
I know we've only got about a minute of time here left, so I want to make sure that we're on schedule. I'll just close by saying, look, I think Canisius is tremendous. I've only been here barely a year. I came here from another college in this region. It's in Niagara Falls. Its favorite color is purple, but we won't name it. And I can say, in my professional opinion, Canisius is the best college in Western New York you could send your son or daughter, or that you could attend as a student. Absolutely tremendous interaction with faculty, strong programs, great outcomes, good values, and a really rigorous education. So I can't say enough. You know, Dr. Woodward and Dr. Rogers are great examples of the kinds of really talented, passionate faculty we have. Our students do extremely well, and we hope that you'll consider coming to Canisius. And if so, stop by, say hello to me, tell me you were on this webinar and you thought, well, it was all right or it was not, but we hope that you'll consider coming here, and I can't say enough about the quality of the people that we have at this institution. Is that time, Tiffany?
That is time. Thank you all for joining us, as well as to our participants that were here today. Make sure you go to the next session and check out our current student panel, get that student perspective on things. And then after that, we also are offering a virtual tour from a current student. So there's some great kind of next sessions as well. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, everybody.